sold separately, an action figure podcast with me, Colonel Rainscar, and your friend and mine, Brian Charles Rooney. Today, a conversation about Masters of the Universe. It is, if you've never heard of it, it is, of course, a cartoon toy line. It is a massive, ridiculous, unbelievably large property, or at least it once was, and we'll find out more about it here. But how are you, Mr. Brian Charles Rooney?
How am I? I can't do the voice right now. It's too early. I'm doing well. I'm happy that we're talking about Masters of the Universe.
I would imagine if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see nothing but a lot of Masters of the Universe behind you. Not your whole collection, because it's ridiculous.
Oh, no, hardly any. This actually, well, there's my Mega Constructs, which is pretty up to date. And then the rest of it's Batman on there, which is not He-Man. And then there's Classics Castle Grayskull, my Masters of the Universe pop stuff from Funko, Loyal Subjects.
Masters of the Universe, everything, literally. Right?
Yeah. Vintage line, New Adventures, 2000X, the 2003 series. I have the entire Classics collection, the Masters of the Universe Classics from Matty Collector.
Times two.
Yeah, almost times two. I'd say probably 90%
times
boxed.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay.
But complete loose.
Yeah.
Princess of Power Vintage Collection, complete and 98% boxed. I'm missing two things from that. I have the Funko Pops. I have the Funko Dorbs. I have the Mythic Legions, kind of inspired by He-Man figures. I have the Super 7 5.5-inch figures. Their Club Grayskull, Club Filmation stuff. I have the Tweeterhead mini busts. I have I'm looking around the room. I have all of the, basically all of the books that have ever been published, except for some of the comics from overseas. I have the model kits from the 80s. I have a lot of custom stuff. And then I have this new Origins line as well, which is
great. Do you have the adult Underoos, is what I want to know.
That I don't have.
Because my wife was like, why don't you have the He-Man adult Underoos? And I said, that's more of a Brian Charles Rooney situation thing.
I don't know how good I'd look in it right now, but
Spider-Man Underoos, you got it. But for you, they do have them, and I can't say that I didn't. They were in an advertisement for me the other day on Facebook, and I was like,
really?
Is it inappropriate for me to buy these for Brian Charles Rooney?
No.
Sorry, please continue.
No, I don't think it's inappropriate to buy me He-Man Underoos. I mean, Skeletor Underoos are probably more appropriate, but especially for how I feel right now. But that has to do with, as we spoke about that eBay seller or buyer, who I have not heard from, which is a little strange.
Of course you haven't.
Do you think he's ever going to contact me?
He will when the last day he can file a complaint.
That's so mean.
And so he will do it on the very last day.
I was thinking, did he die? Did he get kidnapped? Did he have a change of heart?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I know. I looked him up on Facebook. He's a stoner, so maybe he's forgotten.
Well, I mean, that's the best case scenario.
I know. But anyway, he's had enough airtime. Obviously as a He-Man fan, we've had highs and lows. We often joke about being a He-Man or She-Ra fan being in an abusive relationship with Mattel. If the line starts and then it almost gets to where you're gonna get everything you think you want, and then no, smack, it doesn't, and then they start a new line. And the most recent example of that would be Mattel's great run with Classics from 2008 to about 2016, 2015, and then the rights went to Super 7, and they did a fantastic job continuing.
Oh, yeah.
And then they had a whole ton of stuff planned, and Mattel came in because they saw that they were selling well. And we're like, no, we want our license back, and you can't have the fun if we can't have the fun. And it was, the people there are looking at the brand managers, the various brand managers since Scott Neitlich left. And as much as I rank on him for being overly ambitious, he still got the job done.
Yep. You still got over what,
you know.
150 plus classics figures. So.
Oh my God, and the castle, and you know, and he had the Snake Mountain, you know, sculpt made, and all of that started the ball rolling on that. We had multiple vehicles, multiple beasts.
No, and you
know,
just said that you're in an abusive relationship. I would say that you have an overglut of toys from Masters Universe. I think you're pretty lucky. I mean, you're not Marvel lucky, but you're pretty lucky.
Not Marvel lucky, no. But what I mean is that, like, with classics, we got pretty much everything. We did not get Starburst She-Ra, which is like the first variant of vintage She-Ra. We did not, which is significant. We did not get the 2000X version of the Sorceress. We did not get King Miro or Captain Miro in either 2000X or Filmation costume, which is the He-Man and She-Ra's grandfather. We did not get characters like Malaktha, the royal historian, who is kind of a
gosh, we didn't get her.
Well,
man.
no, man, it's a he.
Sorry, we didn't get him.
We did not get them. No, I mean, these are kind of like deep cuts, you know, but for hardcore fans, they're important characters. And that's the point. Like, there's a big hardcore fan population out there for this brand. That's why something like Classics ran for 8 years.
Oh yeah.
So you can trick people and manipulate people into thinking that this subscription is going to end if the dentist from Ohio doesn't buy, you know, 100 subscriptions, which happened.
Oh wow.
Amazing guy, super nice guy that I see at PowerCon every year, and he literally bought a whole bunch of subscriptions and then sold them to people.
Do with them?
Most of them he sold. He was able to get people to claim them, or you know, wanted people who wanted.
They're worth a ton now, so
I know
you probably retire on that 100 subscriptions now.
I think he probably had that in mind. He's a smart guy. But you know, I think the fan support has been there since day one. You know, there's
for sure.
A small collective of people who started on a He-Man message board in the late 90s, and that became He-Man.org, and that is where, you know, a lot of people that you and I both know met, and we're still friends, you know, 15, 20 years later.
About 20,
which is crazy in a great way. I have friends in Australia, Germany, England, UK, Ireland, France, Spain, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, all over the place. And they're not just like acquaintances, they're friends. They're people I talk to regularly. It's pretty amazing. And then we ended up evolving into the run of PowerCon, which is had just been revealed yesterday or the day before that is significantly changing going forward. It will no longer be.
For those of you that do not know, is the He-Man Masters of the Universe celebration that happens in Los Angeles.
Yes, for He fans and She Ravers.
Yes.
And over the years, it's had other properties involved. You know, in an attempt to kind of turn it into something bigger. 1 year there were Thundercats. 1 year it was Ninja Turtles.
That's right. I forgot about it.
And that's it was nice. Like the programming for that worked really well. So you had, because there's a lot of crossover in the different fandoms. So we got to meet, you know, voice actors from those cartoons and learn the history of them. But as far as collectors, none of those brands, even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I don't think there's a lot of carryover of adult fans.
And I don't think there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles con.
No.
And that's a huge brand. There's G.I. Joe has a con, or used to. I think they canceled theirs a couple of years ago. Transformers, I don't think has a con, do they?
Which is strange. I
think they have like sort of like robot-y type cons, but nothing like serious. I mean, but He-Man has a con.
Is that like? Do you think that the Transformer con thing is because Hasbro has kind of made that difficult for them?
I don't know. I mean, I know that there's ancillary type cons like that, but there's nothing as sort of significant as PowerCon. Like last PowerCon, like what was the highest number of people coming to PowerCon?
I don't know.
I don't know
offhand. Not last
5,000, 10,000.
Not this year, but the year before. Not when it was canceled, obviously.
Yeah, but like maybe 2018, 19. How many people were there?
18.
5,000, 10,000?
No, it was definitely more than 5,000.
Wow. That's a lot.
It might have been 15,000, pushing
Wow.
15,000.
That's a lot of people
I know.
for a
In and out,
con,
you
for like
know.
a baby con.
Yeah.
That's what you kind of consider a baby con. Anything that's not, Comic-Con, like these little tiny conventions.
Oh yeah.
That is
No, and
not
it's
tiny.
very
That is
specifically kind of
huge.
geared to one,
Yeah.
one. Well, I mean, I consider He-Man and She-Ra one property now.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever you would call it, Masters of the Universe, whatever it is.
Yeah, but it's definitely. I mean, it started at the Renaissance. No, not the Renaissance.
It was that hotel right up from LAX, because I remember going to the first
Sheraton. Yeah.
Sheridan, that's right. Yeah.
And it was like the hardcore He-Man.org people and some.
That's what I thought. I remember the first one. I feel like I went to the first one or the second one, and it was like 500 people.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. 500,000 people. Yeah.
Maybe 1,000 if in and out, like one day or 2 days, but the hardcore kind of collective. But it was great because it was the first time we'd all been together in person without the kind of trolls.
Yes.
And believe it or not, anybody new to the brand is kind of convinced. And I saw this the other day on Facebook. Someone said this is a toxic fandom. It is dysfunctional and angry.
That's every single one. That's
nasty. And I was like, go hang out with the G.I. Joe people for a few days.
Yeah, they're horrifying.
I mean, but I thought that's not true. I said, I've been a part of this fandom forever, and only in the last year has it become really bizarrely skewed towards negativity. And a friend of mine.
That's everything everywhere, though.
Yeah, I mean, we've been under a lot of stress. There have been a lot of weird political kind of drama.
If I could say whatever dumb stuff I want, well, I'm just going to say it everywhere, including my little toy place, my little toy forums, right? I mean, it's trickled down into everything, every part of society. Yeah. It's in every. That's why I quit all my toy forums, and I've been on those things for like 20 years.
Yep.
And
you're not alone.
Like you have. They've evolved over time, and I've quit all of them.
Yeah. I mean,
I couldn't take all the whining.
Well, the other thing is, it's not even just whining; it's like purposeful trolling, and there are people
like people just being jerks for no reason.
Yeah, there are people that come in and get off on that, and they create multiple accounts and they're supporting their own conversations. They're having conversations with themselves between these accounts to make it look like the main account has a following, the main account has something to say that people want to hear, when in reality they don't. And of course, those people never come to these cons. I mean, I've had earlier on, when I had the patience for it, I would have these, discussions that would turn into arguments. And of course, they can't be respectful because that would defeat the point of trolling. But I'd be like, you know what? Why don't you just come to PowerCon and we'll have a panel 100%. And we'll have an argument, and everyone will love it because it will be hilarious.
Totally.
And I didn't mean it in like a threatening or nasty way. I was serious because to me, it would be funny, and that would probably end up making everybody friends. But they never come.
Nope.
And
I'm not sure they're allowed. I don't think their moms let them out of their homes.
Probably not. So to know, to hear that it's a negative fandom is really sad, because for so long it's been such a positive one. And
for sure.
I think about the morals at the end of the old Filmation shows, and I wonder, is that part of the reason? The kids watching this show related to a property that was kind of progressive. It involved different colors. It involved different gender, like, people,
scantily clad men,
and then women with a lot of power and command and in charge. And I just thought that's a really interesting idea.
For sure.
Do the kids that subscribed, for lack of a better word, to this property in this show, were they either, were they relating to these messages already? Were they hearing it at home? Were they being taught these values at home, or were they introduced to them by the show, or both? And is that why it tends to be a much more relaxed fandom when you really are interacting with the real fans?
Oh, for sure. I feel like you and I could write a book called "I Learned All My Empathy from the End of Cartoons from 1982 to 1985."
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I mean, I was encouraged to speak about my feelings, to be respectful, to people I had to say from my family. But I mean, hearing Orko or He-Man or She-Ra or Cowl
Flint or Lady J or Duke,
Big Bird. I mean, just
Big Bird,
the social messaging back then was simpler, and it was a lot more effective because it was basically like, don't be a mean jerk.
Yep.
Be kind.
Mhm.
Share your toys. Look at people and think about people and treat people how you want to be treated. Those are simple thoughts, but they go a long way. And I think
for sure. And I mean, and those were for us, the latchkey kid generation that we are. I mean, those were our friends every afternoon, and those were that's why we still have such a connection to all of them up to and including right this moment that we're still talking about a 40-plus-year-old property or about a 40-year-old property is because we made such a connection to the characters themselves and who they were and how they treated each other. And I'm pretty sure beyond my mother teaching me how to treat women and other people respectfully, that I'm sure I learned all that from G.I. Joe, because they never, ever, no one was ever not treated equally.
No, and there have some badass ladies in that property.
Way.
Yeah, same. I mean, they all did. They were not just, and they were never just the damsel in distress either.
No way.
They were sometimes.
The opening moment of the first G.I. Joe cartoon is Scarlet busting into a place and kicking some butt. You know,
right.
I mean, like, awesome.
She was the kind of, I mean, I think before He-Man, even for me, she was kind of the first. And it's interesting because she's this redhead, and then Teela was a redhead.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been basically concurrent, but I remember being drawn into G.I. Joe by her and Snake Eyes, and then drawn into He-Man by Teela.
Teela's my all-time favorite He-Man character.
I mean,
and she was my favorite character on the show as a kid. She was my favorite action figure from the line as a kid.
Right.
I still remember when I got her. I still remember breaking her leg off and getting a new one. Like, I remember, right? I mean, like, I was like, oh, she's broken. We're getting another
like
one.
400 times.
Yeah, like,
awful.
we're getting another one. So sorry.
Right.
You know, like, it's Teela. She was, to me, her and Prince Adam were the number one characters. Those are my two favorite characters, and Orko.
Sure.
And, but she was number one by far. Like,
she
not
was
even
for
close
me
to anyone else.
Until Evelyn, and then
Dora
and She-Ra kind of just destroyed all of that. Like, my favorite line in The Secret of the Sword is when Adam brings Adora to the family for the first time, and they walk in and everyone's in the family, quote unquote, because it includes Man-at-Arms and Teela and Orko and Cringer.
Yeah.
And this, Adam brings this blonde chick in the room, and Teela goes, "Who's that?" And it's like that bitchy. And the history behind that is that Linda Gary, who voiced Teela and Evelyn and the Sorceress and basically every other woman not on the show, and in half of She-Ra show, was supposed to have been She-Ra. And Erica Scheimer, the daughter of Lou Scheimer, who was also the voice of many characters, pushed for Melanie Britt, who's a fantastic, incredible voice actress, to be Adora, and She-Ra and Melanie booked the role. So I thought to myself, I wonder if this is
that recording,
Linda kind of flipping on her in a very brilliant Teela way. So if you are looking to review Secret of the Sword, or the first 5 episodes of the She-Ra cartoon, the old one, you should go ahead and look for that moment, because it's kind of priceless.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, speaking of kind of reviewing, if you are newer to Masters of the Universe.
I was going to say, how do I get into this if I'm not a 40-plus-year-old fan like yourself? I mean, what do I do?
They had the Filmation cartoons, both of them, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and She-Ra Princess of Power, on Sling TV via Stars, or you could just get it via Stars.
Because it was on Netflix for a while too, wasn't it?
Yes, but it's not anymore.
It's gone.
It's not been for a while. It's been on Stars, and they just lost the rights, I guess, because we turned it on to watch the Christmas episode, and it was gone. And now it's all back on iTunes. So
you have to buy it.
Yeah, you can. I don't know if it's available through Apple TV or not, because I let that go.
I'll have to check. We have it free this year, so I'll have to check and see if it's on.
If it's on there, we can follow up in the next episode. But you can buy. It's not like, I think each season's 24. I think so. It's not terrible.
Yeah, but you own it on DVD, don't you?
I do. It's just.
So what do you need to buy it on TV for?
I don't. We're not going to. I'm just going to wait until it's available somewhere else.
But if those of you out there that do not have the DVDs,
yes, you can get it on iTunes. And you can do it, sectionally. You don't need to buy it all at once.
Oh, for sure.
There are 2 seasons of each show. The second season of She-Ra is a little shorter than the second season of He-Man. And then there's the Christmas special, which is you can watch actually without really knowing much. It's kind of its own self-contained thing. There aren't a lot of deep cut references, and you get really fantastic double transformation sequences, which is pretty great. But you can also supplement your knowledge with this hardcover book, which you can get on Amazon, published by Dark Horse, called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe mini comic collection. This has all of the vintage Masters of the Universe, Princes of Power, and New Adventures of He-Man, which is He-Man in space, in here, plus some other stuff from classics. And then you can also get the toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, also featuring She-Ra, Princess of Power, hardcover book published by Dark Horse, which was created basically by Dan Erdley, who is Pixel Dan, a friend of the podcast, friend of mine for years. And this book is fantastic, not only because it has everything in it that you'd want to know, but it also has many of my own toys photographed.
That's right, because you photographed a lot of your toys for that book, right? The
well,
She-Ra
I didn't.
special.
I didn't, but
he borrowed your She-Ra stuff, right?
Some of my She-Ra stuff. The She-Ra toys are mine and my friend Dara. She's kind of one of the oldest online She-Ra fans in existence, and I want to give her correct, Dara Vater Heron. She is often at PowerCon, and she's kind of one of the main authorities on Princess of Power. But this book is great because it really does give you the high and low of figures from the very beginning all the way up to
all through
the
classics,
Super
right?
7 classics,
Yeah.
and then the Super 7 5.5 inch. So no Origins.
Because that book's fairly recent, the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, it was published just as, or on sale just as Origins was debuting.
How much are those books?
This one, the toy one is I
toys?
think 50, but it's on sale right
That's
now
cheap.
for 30 or 40 on
For something with that
Amazon.
many pictures in it, that's cheap.
Yeah, I mean it's not short.
Ooh.
And it's really nice. It's nice as a gift for friends who don't, find out if they have it first, obviously. The mini comic one is I cannot recommend this highly enough. And it's on sale right now, I think for 30 or 25 on Amazon as well. And it comes with a handy dandy ribbon, bookmark. This has been how I started introducing my son to He-Man. Lightly with the cartoon. I didn't want to push it because I didn't want him to hate it. But the mini comics,
we've talked about it before. I find it really hard to watch the old cartoon as an adult. But I really enjoyed Masterverse.
Yes, Revelation.
Revelations. What a Masterverse? Yeah. What does that even mean?
Well, I mean, it's sort of the same thing right now because
that term.
There's a figure. Well, there's a figure line called Masterverse, and it's so far been all of the Revelation characters.
Revelation is one of my. Sorry, my friend Tim that writes for that show out there, and my friend Ted that works on that sucker. That to us. It is even in Masters of the Universe Revelations.
No, just one Revelation.
Just one Revelation.
Even though there are multiple reveal throughout the season.
One reveal. There's not 2 reveals. It's just one.
Sort of. But yeah, I mean, and that's a side note. That Revelation / Masterverse line was initially supposed to be sculpted by the 4 Horsemen.
Yes.
It was supposed to be using the classics bucks, which I think would have been a much better idea than what they did with Ruben Diaz, the former brand manager of Masters.
Yes.
Or, well, no, he's never been the brand manager. That's wrong. He's been the head designer.
Yes.
But I think he's otherwise employed at the moment.
Yes.
Rumor has it.
Well, you're doing a lot of smiling on this podcast.
Yeah, I know. You can't see it when you're recording it.
If you're listening to this in Macau, he is smiling because he's very excited that person has been, whatever the word is, and he is glad someone's out of a job at Christmas because he's basically he's Scrooge. He's Scrooge. He's Ebenezer Scrooge, and he loves when people lose their work
for Masters of the Universe now.
He's already told you that he's evil, and all his favorite characters are straight evil. So I don't know if I trust him.
He's not evil. I mean, she used to be, but she's not anymore. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a character, and I'm like, no, evil. Pretty much evil.
And you always play evil characters, so I don't know. You played Miss Trunchbull.
When I play men,
evil.
I tend to play
pretty
evil,
mean.
evil characters.
You're pretty mean.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm so terrible with my $100 donation to the charity.
Hey, my next play is Importance of Being Earnest. If you want to come down and play Lady Bracknell and be able to you know what? I mean, you'd have a lot of fun with that.
Yes, we would. That's another episode, at least.
If I could afford you, I'd bring you down. Trust
me. Maybe. I mean, you work for a school; they've got money.
They do.
We'll figure it out. The writing the Sky Sled. This new Origins line is theoretically introducing children to Masters of the Universe again. This new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe CGI cartoon on Netflix is doing the same, and so is Revelation. I will say that my son, without pushing, has been obsessed with both cartoons. He loves them.
Yes, and he is now how old?
6.
6 years old, so perfect target audience.
Yeah. Yep. He loves all of the characters. There are some that he favors more than others. He watches each time and finds something new, and is really interested in the detail and the drama of the stories.
That's
he
how
loves
I was as
the
well.
Origins line. He likes incorporating some of the Revelation Masterverse figures into it because he can't quite make those characters in the Origins line, the different looks. Faker being one of them. There's
we
an
talked
Origins,
about that in the last episode.
right? There's an Origins Faker, but it doesn't look the same. But he's to me that is proof. I had not an argument, but a discussion with our friend Ted about what is this brand successful? Is it going to remain successful? Are we going to be seeing this brand in 30 years, 50 years? I don't know. I don't think any of us really know. I think right now we probably don't think it's going to happen because I don't think Masters of the Universe has caught on with kids. But I don't blame children for that. I blame Mattel. I don't think they're advertising it. I don't think it was managed correctly. I think they made the mistake of alienating adult collectors, which is their lifeline, their bread and butter for this property, by changing the buck, which was Ruben's decision, and making it new and getting rid of the Horsemen instead of bringing all of those classics collectors along, even though they ripped the license away from Super 7 and kept the brand alive for the last few years. Bringing all those people along and then using that to fund other ventures. I don't know why that decision. I mean, I know why, because he just didn't like the way they looked. He didn't like the classics line. He thought it should have been the way Origins was the whole time. And woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I still feel like anyone with a cursory knowledge of how toy marketing works, toy business works, knows that if that buck had remained the same, this line would have been more successful. And instead you have Revelation figures selling a couple waves and now sitting there,
I can go get all of wave 2 today.
Right. Maybe, if there's room for them, if the stores have ordered them, because they're still having, you still see Skeletor and Evil Lyn, 2 of the most popular characters in the brand, sitting there on the shelf with He-Man and Mossman and about 15 Battle Cats.
Yep.
That's a problem. Price point is a problem too.
Yeah, that Battle Cat, I would love to have him, but I'm not paying that price.
Those figures are expensive, and I think that's starting to become an issue. Mattel was kind of at the forefront of pushing prices much higher for collector items and action figures back in the the late.
They were doing that 10 years ago.
The early 2000s. Yeah,
they were doing that
Justice
10, 12
League.
years ago.
They started it with Justice League Unlimited, and I back then I was like, this is not a good idea. I get you want to have 1,000% profit.
Yep.
I know that your investors want it too, but that doesn't mean it's going to be good for the long run. And it hasn't been, I don't think. I mean, maybe for them it has, maybe, but brand longevity and the toy industry as a whole, especially when you have nothing like Toys R Us in America to sell toys for you, the price point matters. So does
it very much matters.
so does distribution. The fact that they didn't make it an Amazon exclusive
Mhm.
boggles my mind.
Yep.
And I don't believe they couldn't have.
Of course they could have.
There's no shelf space with Amazon. They could
No.
easily have. Instead, they catered to Walmart, and now Walmart is not even really carrying Origins anymore in most places.
I haven't seen it. The last figure I got from the local Walmart is Fisto,
That's lucky.
and that
That's real lucky.
was what 2-3 months ago.
No, I
Could have been longer.
Big
might have
Bad
been
Toy
summertime.
Store and friends in Canada and friends in California or Pennsylvania have been the only places that I have been able to find or get these toys for myself or my son.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Not here.
you live in a major metro area.
Right. I mean, well, and New York was the same. I've been back every month for work. I have not, other toy lines, yes, but not. I mean, New York is always tricky because there are tons of scalpers and there are other stores
true. That's true.
But there are a lot more Targets in Manhattan now, and there's
Nothing. Yeah.
no.
I think the price point thing has been quite an effect. I mean, look at how many figures, if we're talking early 2000s, right?
Mhm.
Look at how many figures were released in the 2000X line? 30, 40, 50? I mean, how many are there?
I mean, well, if you count all of the He-Man and Skeletor
even the
variants,
even variants and stuff. Who cares? 50?
let's see. Let me keep talking and I'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I was trying to say is even in the early 2000s, we had toy lines that would exceed 100+ characters or 100+ different individual sculpts.
Right.
I mean, my Lord of the Rings collection is over 200 figures. My Simpsons collection is over 200 figures. The G.I. Joe 25th anniversary stuff that came out just on the heels of that there's 500-600 of those. And I don't even have close to all of them. I've got like 300 of them. There's a ton. I mean, those price points were affordable. I could buy every single one and collect all of those lines because the figures were $7.99, $8.99, $9.99 at the most. And now it's $22 a figure. And I can really only keep up with Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe Classified, and I cherry pick everything else. Because I just can't afford to collect all those lines, and I just don't see as many happening. I mean, G.I. Joe Classified's been out for almost 2 years now. Where the heck are those figures? Like, why am I getting 5 figures a year?
Right.
It's ridiculous. And Origins, like, why has this is the line I've told you about many times before. This is the line I wanted instead of Classics. I collected about the first 75 Classics figures, but if it was these, I would have collected every single one because this is the kind of figure that I wanted. I'm sure I'm in the minority of that. I'm with your friend Ruben on that. This is what I would have wanted is what the Origins figures are. That appealed more to me, was an updated version of the old figure, because the old figures, I hate those figures. They're so ugly and gross and no articulation and terrible. But these newer ones that have actual articulation, I really love them. And if they would have made 200 of these, I'd have 200 of them. But as it is now, they're hard to get, hard to find.
Yeah.
I cherry pick them because I don't need every little variant, but if they weren't $14.99 a piece and the rest of my toys weren't $20 a piece, I'd probably have every single one.
Right. I mean, that is a problem. I mean, for $15 for a figure that in this line mostly is reuse.
It's all reuse. Every single one's reuse.
Is ridiculous. And to me, taking the hit a little bit, especially because the way Mattel works, they use a profit sharing structure. We've talked about this a little bit, where Monster High, Masters of the Universe Classics was for almost the entire run was a part of Monster High. It was a Monster High brand. It was used in a profit sharing structure with Monster High because Monster High was doing well, so it helped get Classics more tooling money. And then once Classics kind of took off and went nuts, and Scott Neitlich helped kind of stoke the flames of fear, so people were buying multiple subscriptions, which worked. It sort of worked. on the later end, it started to subsidize the Monster High loss. So you had, because that started to dwindle. So I'm guessing that Origins, Masterverse, are probably part of a profit sharing thing with each other. They may be with a larger brand as well. I don't know. There's Masters of the Universe stuff in Hot Wheels. I don't think those cross over within that company, but there's probably something, maybe Jurassic Park. I don't know. That would not surprise me.
Well, Jurassic Park, I mean, I never see those figures. Those get bought like crazy.
Right. I mean, most of the time the figures are gone near me. There's
I mean, the large,
dinosaurs
more expensive
last.
dinosaurs sit a little
Yeah.
bit, but everything that's
No,
$20
everything
and
else
under
is
is
gone.
gone.
So it's possible that that's going on. I don't know. But I don't think, you know, you have my experience between Nashville and New York has been Skeletor first version in Origins sitting
Yep.
there. He-Man first version sitting there. You can get the newer versions, the more classic looking ones.
I've
on
never
Amazon.
seen the newer ones.
I haven't, not in the store. I have on
That's
Amazon.
what I mean.
You can
Oh,
get
so
them.
they are on Amazon, so I need to
mhm.
order those. Okay.
And you can get the women with the newer knees also on Amazon.
Oh yeah, I need that Tila with the newer knees.
That's you can get on Amazon as well. I've seen the Keldor Cronus pack, and it's sitting there now.
That one's Clearance City. I see that.
Yeah,
I've
I mean,
seen
they made the
75
mistake
of them,
again
probably.
of sending out a limited amount, and then of course all the scalpers. There's my line. All the scalpers bought it up. So then Target was like, "Oh, everyone wants this," and they ordered 500,000 packets of it, and now they're sitting there. And
Yeah.
you have Landshark at the local Target sitting there, and they just got a new box. There was a Masters Universe box on the cart, and I thought, oh, there's something new. And nope, it was more Landsharks. Battle Cat and Panther, which nobody needs multiples of.
No.
So I'm not sure why Mattel's
The
even
Battle Cat and
offering
Panther
that.
just keep coming in. Like when I look at pallets at the local store, it's like 2-3 boxes of Battle Cat. I'm like, why are there's already 10 on the shelf? Why is there another 40?
I don't know if that's the store's fault or if it's Mattel's fault. To me, if it's not Mattel being aware of that, they need to use that SKU for something new, like put in Faker's Cat, or
maybe, right?
You know, or Catra's cat and give us a Catra figure with it or something. Like do something different with the SKU if you're going to use SKUs for multiple items anyway, which they do. You know, that they probably just overproduced them, and I don't
maybe
in this day and age I don't understand that at all. But step away from the frustration a bit, we do have at least 2 lines of Masters of the Universe things on retail shelves, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, well, 3 technically, yeah.
Oh, what? The minis?
Origins, the new cartoon, and Masterverse.
Oh, you're right.
Those 3.
And,
I mean,
and the minis.
It's a good time to be a He-Man fan if you're into that stuff. I mean, you can go to every store in America and see, if you're lucky, 3 different lines of He-Man. I can go see 3 different lines.
Every Walmart.
The kids line is the ugliest toys I've ever seen in my life.
They're not. Oh,
they look like runny diarrhea that came out of an organ.
No. They're not McFarlane DC. Stop. They're.
We can't. My wife told me, because it's Christmas time, or it's the holiday season, that I have to be nice, especially to Ricky. I have to be nice. And so I'm not allowed. She banned me from talking about McFarlane toys ever until the new year.
So funny. We'll do a McFarlane episode in the new year. I'm so done. Anyway,
she got me the McFarlane Princess Bride figures for Christmas.
Yeah.
My God, are they terrible?
I saw her today, and I was actually, I didn't think it was
Robin
bad.
Wright is one of the most beautiful people in the world, particularly in that film.
Yeah.
And this looks like her like bloated.
They're not good at women at
that got her face punched.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to talk about McFarlane toys.
You're getting nothing for Christmas.
Todd McFarlane, I'm sorry. My wife, I'm very sorry. I meant to be a good guy. I'm trying my best.
I Revelation, I don't mind the new sculpts. They're not amazing.
I think they're nice,
but they're not bad. They move well. The articulation is nice. It's not overdone. It's none of the joints are loose. And I like the figure selection so far. And we're going to be getting a She-Ra in that line. I don't know what it looks like.
Once you get about 25 of them, it's going to be a really nice looking shelf.
Yes. So far I have the PowerCon, or not PowerCon, but the Comic-Con version of Scareglow, which has the bendy cape, and that's pretty amazing. I'm excited about the new King Grayskull that's coming.
Yep.
That
I'm excited
design
about what's
choice
Tila's
is
friend's
great.
name? She's in the next wave too.
Andra, yes, which you
Andra.
have to get two of because it comes with the cape and the helmet.
Oh, so you
head,
can get one for Tila.
because Tila looks like that too. Yeah. And I thought, oh, what am I gonna do with this
Smart
extra
thinking.
Andra figure? I guess I can give it to Christian. And he'll
Say
use
the
her.
kid, here's my leftovers. You see.
Here's my leftovers. I mean,
Merry
she's
Christmas.
well,
Here's
it's a complete figure. It's just not her in her
It's true.
Incor armor.
Here, have a bunch of McFarlane toys for Christmas. Ha ha ha. Same as
Right,
Cole.
exactly.
Right? If you put
He'd be
DC,
like,
if you
"What?"
put DC McFarlane toys under the tree, is that like putting coal in somebody's stocking? Oh wait, sorry, Ricky. I'm not supposed to talk about this.
No, he doesn't hate. He doesn't. No, that's okay. It is a good time. I just wish they were more available. Like, I don't know why I can't. If Mattel was so intent on making this a big relaunch and making it as big as the MCU, ...
Yeah.
Why can't I go on Amazon at any point in time and buy She-Ra or Zodak or Roboto
You can.
for myself?
She's $40.
Well, no,
Zodak is
from a
$33.
third-party seller, and they're the old version, the She-Ra with the old knees.
Triclops is $50.
That's
Roboto is
ridiculous.
$46.
Right, because Amazon allows third-party sellers, which annoys the hell out of me.
Oh, Triclops or Trapjaw is down to $35 from some third-party person. Good deal.
Stupid. Well, but we're also getting the recolor of Trapjaw.
But
so
Orko's on there, which is a surprise.
yeah.
Clamp Champ, oof, sorry, bud, 29% off for $15. Woof.
Yeah, the
Sorry
deluxe
there, Clamp
figures. I mean, even Ram Man is sitting in my Target, which surprises me.
But you
they're
can
too
get that
expensive.
Mega Constructs Castle Grayskull for $302.
Yes.
What?
And
the
apparently,
fucking
I got
crap
it for
is that?
$70. I think
Yeah.
maybe even cheaper than that during the pandemic. like the early part of the pandemic.
$300.
Good luck launching that Mega Construct or bringing in new fans to that Mega Constructs line. And they have Snake Mountain coming. They have She-Ra, Hordak, and Prince Adam with the Monstroid coming, which is an amazing set. They have the Land
They're
Shark
all
coming.
beautiful. Those are really fun figures. Yeah.
They are, and the builds are fun, and they
I
look
have a
good.
few. Yeah.
But the castle is the gateway. That is the
Yes.
gateway to that line. And if you
The
don't make
only
that
thing I
affordable-
carried around as a child with me everywhere. Okay, I
Right.
didn't have a telephone
Right.
like this to stare at like all the kids do now.
Right.
I took my toys. If we went to
They bring their
my
collections in
neighbors,
their
if we went to my
phone.
grandparents' house, I carried Castle Grayskull with my He-Man figures in it
Same,
everywhere
and
that I
crammed
went.
as many figures in
Even
there
if
as
we
you
went
could.
to dinner, they
Yeah.
would put it in the trunk and we'd pull a couple figures out.
Yes.
But Castle
Yes.
Grayskull, because of that little handle, went with me everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Same. And
It was
I will
the
say
number
the-
one piece of my He-Man collection.
the Origins castle is really fantastic.
Oh God,
I
so beautiful.
It's so
love
great.
that
I
thing.
know there are other people that think it's garbage, and I'm
I
like,
love
nope.
it.
It has fixes to it that I wanted as a child. It's
Yep.
more durable.
I
I
love it.
still am a little worried about the floors. They're kind of soft, and I
They're a
worry
little
that over
soft,
time they're
but-
going to bow.
But they make, like I've told you before, it makes the old castle look like crap.
It kind of, I mean,
Let me
I
stare it up
don't,
like
I don't think aesthetically it does. I think it's
No,
nice.
no.
They're equally nice. in
But this
different
one's
ways.
just so
It's
such
just
a
better.
great. There it is over there. Next, it's
Yeah.
right next to the Black Star Ice Castle. That's
The
how
Black
important
Star.
it is to me.
the paper mache Black Star.
And don't worry, Crystar Castle's right there too.
Oh, you need to stop. Where's that redo line, Super 7? Where's
Yeah, what is
Crystar
going on?
Ultimates?
We're getting Animaniacs. I can't get Crystar. Like,
How
get
about
out of
just
here.
Crystar Reaction with a playset?
Oh,
like,
that'd
what-
be incredible.
Come on. But that's another show. I think we're going to talk about Masters Universe again in the next episode. But
I bet.
as somebody who has been a lifelong fan, and at this point it is lifelong, of both He-Man and She-Ra, I was so excited to see a sort of relaunch with media. And I have been really disheartened because there was this weird campaign to kind of sink Revelation before it had even been seen.
Yeah, we've talked about that before too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew that meant, because of the way the entertainment rights are for She-Ra and Princess of Power, because the toys for that line were developed sort of separately, the short of the long story is that Filmation decided to create a female He-Man. They made it his sister. They drew up pictures of her and Hordak and Catra and a couple other characters. They submitted it to Mattel. Mattel said, wait, can you make the bad guys look like these concepts, these universes that we're making based on Universal monsters? I don't know if they actually said Universal monsters, but it was obvious. They had a vampire character. They had, a Wolfman character, the creature from the Black Lagoon character, the mummy, a witch. And they said, can you make these characters look like this instead? And the cool thing is that those early sketches for Hordak and a couple other characters are, you can find them. And they ended up making a character in the She-Ra show named King Ago. They made him King of the Trolls. He's largely based on the original concept they had for Hordak. And the name was Hordak, because people are now arguing again, because every couple of years this comes up, that the Horde is for He-Man only, and they gave it to She-Ra, and She-Ra destroyed He-Man. It's like, no, actually, She-Ra cartoon was the third season of He-Man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, in fourth season, that's how it worked. But because those toys and those concepts were developed between Mattel and Filmation, the toy rights and the entertainment rights ended up becoming separate things when Mattel sold the rights to Hallmark, I think, in the earlier 90s when they were about to go bankrupt. And then those rights kind of went from company to company. So now you have DreamWorks holding the entertainment rights for She-Ra. You have Mattel holding the toy rights. You have entertainment rights that are licensed by Mattel from the companies that own them for characters like Adora, Swiftwind, Spirit, Hordak, Catra, Adam and He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Teela, Cringer, Battlecat, and Orko, because they want access to the Filmation looks.
Oh yeah.
And they want to be able to use them in any sort of other licensing they farm out. It makes it even more complicated in that case. So you have, if Netflix wants to do another season and use She-Ra, they have to go to DreamWorks. They have to go to Mattel. They have to go to DreamWorks, Universal or whatever, and
license
say,
that character.
We'd like to do this. But DreamWorks is now saying they're going to do a live action She-Ra. Yet there have been no auditions. There have been no calls, nothing. The concept for it is like not what people are hoping. It's not Game of Thrones She-Ra, which
would be amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. It's like, and just like that, She-Ra was in New York City and working as a writer in a townhouse, and her friends used to go to the cafeteria restaurant for dinner, and like it's Sex in the City.
So it's the Smurfs movie meets Sex in the City.
Meets or She-Ra being dragged by her heels into, some terrible idea.
Tell me this, because we got to go soon.
Yes.
We've talked before many times about the nostalgia of the toys and your mother, what your mother used to do for you. And my mother and parents would do the same. I told you my dad used to, after they got divorced, would put a toy every 2 weeks under the pillow when we came over, and it was usually a Remco or a He-Man. He probably thought the Remcos were He-Man.
Remco.
And so I had a nice Remco collection to go with my He-Man collection back in the day. Not to bring up, Remco to, make you feel awful right at this moment. eBay fiasco, but tell me right now, and remind us who your favorite vintage Masters of the Universe figure is, because you have to remind you told us a great story about it before, but for those of us that haven't listened to that episode, who's your favorite one and why, and where did you get it? Of the vintage figures, whether it be Masters or She-Ra. Who's your favorite one you had as a kid that was your favorite as a kid?
Starburst She-Ra.
Yeah.
Because she was unapologetically packaged. Well, the version I got with Crystal Swiftwind, which was probably the girliest package you could ever imagine in your life. Or the most masculine if you grew up in India.
Well, there you are, right? But your mother did not want to get that for you, did she?
My mother wouldn't let me have any She-Ra because whatever. I mean, I would get punished if I was in the girl aisle. And I, I liked toys that were sold to girls, and
I like all toys. I go to the girl aisles all the time. I love those toys.
Exactly. Like she didn't get it. So or
Yeah.
she got it and whatever. Who cares? She's she's dead now, so who cares?
Yeah,
Um,
take that, Mom.
she made up for it later. But the package was there, and I was spending the summer with my grandmother and grandfather in down the shore in New Jersey. And my grandmother said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I was like, "What? I get to decide?" Because it was always like a big deal. Like my birthday was a big deal. Everybody would come, and it was always a surprise. My mother was really good at that. So I'm like, okay. So we were going in the store, and I see the 2-pack, and I'd never seen it. I was like, I want this. And she's like, what is this? And I said, it's He-Man's sister. And she's like, well, of course. And so she's like, but you can't play with it until your birthday. And I was like,
I'm
oh,
going to
and I'm
die.
thinking,
Yeah.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get killed. So I can't open this and hide it in my bag because
Yeah.
I was young enough to still be totally into all that stuff. Not
Yeah,
that I
because you were
ever
probably
aged out of it,
5,
but
6, 7 maybe at that point. That's what,
I think
85,
I think
84,
7.
85. Yeah.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Six going on 7.
Yeah. 86. Okay.
So yeah, I think so. And then
Yeah.
that birthday. And then for 85. Because she came out.
It's about that time, yeah. But they were on the shelves for a long time. Those figures were out for a long time.
So we get it, and it's like sitting on her sewing table, and I'm like staring at the box and smelling it because those toys had a very specific
Oh
smell.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And then we have my birthday, and we go back home to New Jersey, proper, and we have the birthday family party, and she wraps and I unwrap it. I'm like, and I pretend like I didn't. And my grandmother says, pretend you're surprised.
Of course.
You knew what she was doing. So my mother, I opened and I must have looked right at her, and her face, the pursed lips, that was when my mother was pissed off beyond that, like beyond belief. Like,
I love it.
and she knew she couldn't do anything because it was my father's mother, who was a super wonderful lady. Like, I mean, either one, she wouldn't have been able to do anything. But my mother was very lucky. Like, she didn't have any sort of weirdness from my grandmother in any way. But she knew that she couldn't take it away. And I was like, and I said, do I have to bring it back? She's like, no. And so I had the girliest of the girly Princess of Power toys. But it was amazing because then I could have her fighting the Horde.
Yep.
And up until then, I didn't have it. I was like trying to use Tila in a Kleenex.
Not the same thing.
And the Pegasus figure from the Clash of the Titans line as Swiftwind. And I'm like, now I don't have to. And then
do you still have this figure today?
Oh,
same
yes.
one? You still have your same exact one you got that day?
I have a couple of them, but I definitely have that one.
You still have your original one?
Yes, I have the original. They're both on the shelf over there.
That's awesome.
And I have my original Storm and Cat. That's awesome. And original Catra. Because I got as a 2-pack as well for Christmas, and I think my father bought it for me.
Yeah,
because my mother wouldn't have. And Double Trouble, who my mother didn't think had hair, so I got her. She had a giant ponytail, but it was behind her in the back. That was that was like the Manny faces of.
Oh yeah, because I still have my original Black Star right up there. He's sitting there.
Oh yes. Yeah, I mean I have most of my core He-Man vintage. That's almost all my originals.
That's awesome. Because I sold mine back in the early 2000s. But we will talk more about that next time.
Yes.
So we hope you are having a happy holidays. Hug your Sentinel tight. If you're cold up in the Northeast, hug that Sentinel tight. He'll keep you warm. Otherwise, maybe those warm tears from that Rancor will still come out. But you can all be happy that the G.I. Joe
they'll figure out a way.
Snore. But good for you, those of you that wanted it. I'm being nice now. We appreciate that. I'll let Brian Charles Rooney be the crank from now on. And we hope that you get all the McFarlane toilet paper you deserve this Christmas. Anyways, we will talk at you a little later. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. I'll have a better Skeletor next time.